Hello, Rama Pupodu. Hope all are in good health, feeling great, wonderful, having a happy and peaceful life. Now let's go to introduction. Ramana Periya Puranam. Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi, it is said, had no name that he called his own. However, he did have a name, and he revealed it not once but 3 times. The first time was in his hymn Akshar Ramana Malai, the marital garland of letters. In its very last verse, Bhagavan sings, "Place your garland around my neck and wear the garland strung by this Arunachala Ramanan." The second time was some days later. A devotee at Virupaksha cave wanted to know who Bhagavan really was. He wrote a verse on a piece of paper. "O Ramana, who are you? Are you the highest god, Hari, or a rishi, or a celestial being? Who are you?" He then left the note on Bhagavan's stone couch when Bhagavan had gone out. When Bhagavan returned and saw the note, he wrote behind it, "I am Arunachala Ramanan, dwelling in the heart of every being, beginning with Lord Hari to the so-called lowest being. If with devotion you plunge into the cave of your heart, your inner eye will be opened, and you will see this truth as the fullness of non-dual awareness." The third time was when Vishwanatha Swami wanted to write a verse on Muruganar, another senior devotee. Unable to compose an entire verse in Tamil, he wrote 2 words, Mugavapuri Murugan. When Bhagavan was not there, he left the paper on Bhagavan's seat and slipped away. When Bhagavan came back, he completed the verse. Arunachala Ramanan, who resides in the heart lotus of every being, gave Mugavapuri Murugan a look and destroyed all his tendencies. This enabled him to come out with thousands of spontaneous verses, the beauty of which is comparable with those written several centuries back by the saint Manikavachakar in Tiruvachakam. So, what was the purpose of Bhagavan Arunachala Ramanan's advent on earth? In his hymn, Necklace of 9 Gems, Bhagavan reveals it. Arunachala commanded me to make known his true state of awareness all over the world as the self in each one's heart, and thereby destroy the false identity that one is the body. Arunachala Shiva, the infinite flame of Jnana, manifest in the form of a holy hill, incarnated as Ramana, to talk to us in our language. After all, who would be able to understand a hill if it were to speak? Its language is Maunam, that is silence. I once shared this with Bhagavan's old devotee, Professor N.R. Krishnamurthy Iyer, a physics professor and scientist. He exclaimed, "How wonderful! This is true. Arunachala did come as Ramana, but Ganesan add another sentence to that." He continued, "It is true that Bhagavan is Arunachala, but we, his devotees, are the rocks and boulders of Arunachala, part and parcel of the sacred hill." This revelation thrilled me. Professor Iyer added, "Whenever a great being appears, he comes with his retinue. When Bhagavan incarnated on earth, we too came to serve him. Once our service is over, we will go back to the source." Though it was Arunachala's command that this message be spread around the world, Bhagavan did not move an inch from Arunachala for 54 years. The fact is that Bhagavan did not need to move. The world came to him. Frank Humphreys was the first Westerner to visit him. Many like Kavya Kanta, Ganapati Muni, Muruganar, and Arthur Osborne followed. Their only purpose was to record the message of the Master. Great masters like the Buddha and Christ would have remained as just names, but for the retinue that came with them. Their devotees gathered and preserved their teachings as well as the answers to seek questions that can occur to any spiritual seeker. Consequently, future generations continue to reap the benefits of their teachings. It is to fulfill this noble purpose that the great masters come with their retinue. Another example of the great master who came with his retinue of devotees is Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. When no disciple had yet come to him, at times intoxicated with divine bliss, he would stand on the bank of the river Ganges and shout, "Mother, where are the children you said you are sending? They have not yet arrived." The Divine Mother eventually sent 18 great disciples. Later, when he had cancer and was to drop the body, he announced, "I will be born once more. I am going to be born as a beggar in my next life to alleviate the sufferings of the people." To this, his wife, the Holy Mother Sharada Devi, said, "I might not be coming." Ramakrishna Paramahamsa replied, "You have no choice. When I come, all my retinue will be born too." He gave the example of a weed in a pond. It comes out with all the weeds around it when pulled out by its roots. Bhagavan had many devotees. Some of them are well known and some are not. The human and secret relationship of these devotees with Bhagavan was never formally recorded in one book. The reminiscences in books like Talks with Ramana Maharshi, Letters from Ramana Ashramam, and Day by Day with Bhagavan mainly contain answers given by Bhagavan. However, there were precious few records of Ramana Maharishi's life from the devotee's point of view. I longed to record the intimate nuances of their satsang with the Master. From 1956 onwards, I constantly questioned the old devotees. How did you interact with Bhagavan? How did he treat you? What was your relationship with him like? They would humbly reply, "We are nobody, all is Bhagavan, and ask us about Bhagavan and we will tell you." In 1960, I moved to live in Ramana Ashramam. I worked hard at my ashram duties, but somehow I was not completely happy. I could not put my finger on what was missing. Though I received a lot of well-meaning advice from the elders at the ashram, my heart was not satisfied. My teacher, T.K. Sundaresha Iyer, then told me, "If you are not satisfied with our guidance, you should go and get it from an acknowledged jnani." He directed me to Swami Ramdas of Anand Ashramam in Kerala, who in turn sent me to his spiritual higher, Mataji Krishnabai, a realized saint. I asked her, "How should I serve my master? What is my sadhana?" She said, "All devotees of Bhagavan have already left the ashram. Go bring them back, attend to them, and serve them till their last day. This is your sadhana. This seva to them is your sadhana." I was taken aback. I had closely studied Eastern and Western philosophy. Nowhere had I heard of serving the Guru's devotees as a form of sadhana. She added, "Another important thing is that since you are related to Ramana Maharshi, everybody will tell you that you are already liberated. They will tell you that according to Hindu treatise, a realized master's relatives are already realized beings, that the 7 generations preceding him and the 7 generations succeeding him are blessed with emancipation, freedom from karma. Do not believe it. You have to earn your bread, your spiritual bread. God is absolutely impartial, and if you have to attain salvation, you have to strive hard like everyone else. Practice Ramana Maharishi's teachings. Pursue self-enquiry." Overwhelmed by the magnitude of the task before me, I cried, "Mother, I am leaving and you will be far away. You have been entrusted to me by Papa. I am going to guide you," she assured me. "You are hundreds of miles away from me. How are you going to guide me?" I looked at her questioningly, without voicing it in words. She smiled and said, "Don't worry about that. I will be guiding you every moment." Sure enough, a continued guidance is palpable to me even now. When I came back to Ramana Ashramam, I acted on Mataji Krishna Bai's counsel very sincerely. I started searching old devotees, bringing them back to the ashram, serving them, and putting Bhagavan's teachings into practice. In the beginning, neither did I always succeed, nor did I have a complete grasp of it. Nevertheless, I did not give up. I kept wondering why she had said that to serve the devotees was my sadhana. The answer came to me like a flash. I was being called to record the reminiscences of Bhagavan's old devotees and their relationship with him, something that had not been done. I began working on this task with enthusiasm. Veneration goes to those old devotees who proactively started sharing their memories of Bhagavan. Most of them were recorded by me, which were published periodically as ashram publications and regularly in the ashram journal, The Mountain Path. I owe much to boulders like Kunju Swami, Annamalai Swami, Ramaswamy Pillai, Devaraja Mudaliar, Suri Nagama, Major Chantwik, and others for coming forward with beautiful recollections of their meetings with the Master. For instance, whenever Ramaswamy Pillai met me, he would begin narrating some incident involving Bhagavan. He once pointed to a coconut tree and said, "Once I was standing right there and plucking coconuts using a long pole with an iron clamp. Bhagavan saw me on his way up the hill and said, 'Why can't you use a bamboo clamp? The metal clamp will hurt the tree. It is already offering its fruits to you unconditionally.' I actually made the mistake of thinking that I was really wise. While Bhagavan could offer spiritual advice, perhaps he was not practical. After all, I had to pluck so many coconuts. If I used a bamboo clamp, it would break. Therefore, I continued using the iron clamp. When Bhagavan returned from walking on the hill, I was still at work. Suddenly, a coconut fell on my nose and it began to bleed. Bhagavan stood next to me and gently rebuked me. 'You doubted my words. Now, do you understand how your wrong actions will hurt you? Now, do you understand?' A deluge of reminiscences came down from him and other devotees. I begged all of them to write these down. Please share your memories of Bhagavan, your interactions with him, his interactions with the earlier devotees, everything. Whatever you say will be direct from the source." And they graciously responded. In the 37 years I was in Ramana Ashramam, it was my association with the old devotees of Bhagavan that gave me the greatest joy and learning. For many years, it has been my heart's wish to share this joy and learning with fellow seekers. Each devotee had a significant role to play, and this forms the basis of this book. Its purpose is to bring to light how Bhagavan Arunachala Ramana's devotees, his rocks and boulders, came together gracefully and naturally to support the Master in his work. I am deeply grateful to the AHAM Retreat Center, Ashiboro, NC, and the AHAM Ashramam in Arunachala for hosting talks on the old devotees of Bhagavan. The bulk of this book had been culled from these talks that were recorded on CDs by the editorial services of good friends. To them too I owe a deep sense of gratitude. My humble request is to allow the words to fall away, leaving the essence of one's own pure understanding to bloom, blossom, and flower within one's heart. Grace is always there. From V. Ganesan. That's all, folks. Let's continue in the next chapter. Thank you. Bye bye. Rama Rama Puppodu.